In a Violent Nature was a violent waste of my time, kind of. If you haven't heard yet, this is a new independent horror movie from director Chris Nash, which has a pretty unique twist on the Friday the 13th type of slasher movie, where instead of following that group of dumb teenagers that get killed off by jump scares one at a time, we actually follow the perspective of the killer, but instead of Jason, his name is Johnny, and instead of listening to cheesy one-liners from cheerleaders, we follow Johnny getting his 15,000 steps in for the day. And even though my tone might sound like I'm here to rip this movie to shreds, I'm really not, because In a Violent Nature has a lot of really great things going for it, and in many ways I think it delivers on the exact movie it is trying to be. For better or for worse, this is a Friday the 13th movie, and with that comes all of the things you would come to expect with an entry in that franchise. The dialogue is pretty bad, and some of the mannequin effects aren't going for the most realistic in the world, so it's pretty clear that a lot of the shortcomings in here are also intentional, so that the movie can be as close to the original source material as possible. But this reminds me a lot of the take I have always had with WandaVision, or at least certain aspects of that show. Like, they do an excellent job of recreating so many different styles of television and reworking them into this new thing that fits into the MCU, but if you have bad dialogue and say, well, it's just like the bad dialogue from the 50s, I mean, yeah, that's an argument that makes sense, but that doesn't automatically mean your new dialogue in that style is any good either. And in here, there's only so many bad one-liners and cancel culture jokes that I could handle, and it got kind of eye-rolling after a while. But just like any other slasher movie that's good or bad, that just comes with the package of one of these movies. And I think what this movie does right, it gets perfectly right. I'm not gonna fully show any of the kills in this video, and in reality, I don't even think I could based off of the amount of footage we have available from the trailers at the moment. And honestly, if I showed you any of them, I would probably get demonetized instantly, so it kind of works out. But some of them are cool, some of them are interesting, and the rest had my theater hollering. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly which one got the loudest reaction. I mean, it might seriously be a top 5 wildest kill I have ever seen in a movie. And even though my girlfriend has been really trying to get me into yoga, that scene might have just ruined any desire I had for doing that. But then there are other kills where all you see is Johnny do some superhuman Jason Voorhees shit like it's nothing, and the comedic side of those types of kills really worked for me here. And if that is the kind of thing you are coming to the movie for, I don't think you'll leave the theater saying, oh man, the kills were pretty lame, because they're not. They're crazy. What I did hear though was a lot of people saying that could have been 20 minutes long, and I agree, because when this movie isn't focused on the slashing, it is a fucking chore to sit through. And listen, I am not somebody that needs an action scene every 5 minutes to keep me engaged in a story. I mean, I'm currently working on another video about why I Saw the TV Glow might be my favorite movie of the entire year so far, and a lot of people would claim that that film is more boring than this one, because again, the entire concept of this movie is all about following the killer's perspective in a slasher movie. And if you were to look back at any Friday the 13th movie, there is a lot of downtime in between certain kills. We get lots of scenes following teenagers hanging out, getting drunk, having sex, and then but if you were to shoot any of those movies only following Jason, there would probably be a lot of scenes following him as he just slowly walks around. And Chris Nash is aware of this, and yet he still decided to make most of this movie about Johnny walking. And that's why I have a hard time critiquing In a Violent Nature so hard, because I know that he knows that this is what Jason Voorhees would be doing in the background. But maybe, just maybe, there is a reason we never need 25 different shots of Jason walking in a Friday the 13th movie. These scenes almost never fill us in on any new information. It's just a tracking shot of this guy walking through some kind of beautiful scenery. In fact, the only scenes where we get any kind of new information are the scenes where we actually don't follow the killer's perspective. And again, this is another choice that I'm pretty split on, because the first time it happens, we get the cliche exposition dump of the lore of this killer around a campfire, of course. And sure, that kind of information is pretty necessary in a film like this, but I feel like the same conversation could have still been had with the camera following Johnny around the entire time. And if you're going to make us follow this guy walk around for so long, you might as well commit to the bit and have us follow him throughout every single scene. But they do change the perspective one more time later on in the film, and I thought that entire sequence really made me appreciate the overall experience a whole lot more, because my entire opinion about the movie went from bored out of my mind to holy shit, that kill was crazy, to a genuinely tense final 15 minutes. And I know this is a low budget horror movie and they do a great job with the cinematography for most of the movie, but there are so many student film kind of mistakes that really threw me off a lot of the time here. Like, there is one moment where it looks like somebody might have accidentally hit the tripod, and I guess they didn't catch it on set because somehow that take still ended up being used in the movie. Then there are other shots that look really cool, but there's either some sort of cheap warp stabilizer use in post or unbalanced stabilizers on set. Whatever it is, the corners of some of the frames just got kind of distracting to me for a while, but I'm a nerd for even thinking about that, so who really cares about that, okay? On the other hand, there are some bizarre choices that just cheapen the whole experience for me. Like this one cheesy flashback that happens in a mirror pretty early on, and then there's another shot of a girl at the campfire where her jaw is on the floor for like 10 seconds after this guy finishes his story. And it's like, come on, the story wasn't that crazy. You can say something after 2 seconds. And I bring all of this up because in summary, I think In a Violent Nature is the definition of a mixed bag for me. In a world where we haven't gotten a ton of slasher movies recently, and even fewer that try to do anything original with the concept, it was pretty refreshing to be able to support something like this in a pretty packed theater. The team behind it clearly put a lot of thought into a lot of aspects of it, and I don't think anybody that sees this will walk out saying it was forgettable. The only question is, will you remember it because of the kills or all of the calories Johnny burned in 90 minutes? Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you as always. This is all of my social media right here, but I am the most active on Letterboxd, so that's the only one that really matters to me. If you really liked the video, be sure to subscribe. We talk about every kind of movie here, whether it be horror, non-horror, whatever, you know. If you like my opinion on here and how I talk about movies, we got more coming, and I'd really appreciate it. And if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm out a lot and helps me out a lot more than you know. So please, if you can, take the 2 seconds to do that. If you want to dislike the video, that's cool too. That helps the algorithm as well. But if you've seen this movie, be sure to comment down below. What did you think of it? There's a lot of people split on this. Critics and fans alike are both kind of split down the middle. A lot of people think it's genius. A lot of people think it's really boring. I really do believe it's both. I wish I loved this movie. I think the concept is still awesome. If they made another one of these and did something in between the kills that was interesting, I would be there day one, and I would probably be praising it because I do think Chris Nash does an overall really good job with this. I just think there are a lot of shortcomings that really damper the entire experience for me. And if you really like this video and you want to see more from me, YouTube thinks you're really gonna like one of these two on screen, so hopefully they're right and they know your taste, and I appreciate you checking out any of them, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks.